All right, perfect. So what's up, guys? Happy Sunday, like I said. For those of you that don't know who I am, if you're on the live right now or you're catching the replay, you found this randomly, or somebody decided to share this with you because they do care about you. They want you to see this information and what it has done for them. Guys, this call is called Zoom to Success, and the whole purpose of this call, the whole goal, the whole mission, why we do these calls in the first place are to empower you and really build your belief along your journey with the academy that we're a part of, and really ensure, mentally and emotionally, you guys understand that you're on track. Wherever you're at in your life right now, whatever season that you're in, it's okay. If you're in a season where things are, going all over the place and you're not really sure what you should be doing or anything like that, that you're in the right place because you're clear on who you are and where you're going and what you desire. So guys, just know that you're in the right place. We appreciate you, and we also respect your time. We understand it's Sunday. A lot of people take this time, to themselves with their family, but I appreciate you guys for being on here, wanting to pour into yourselves, and honestly, just being around the campfire. I wouldn't be here 3.5 years later if it wasn't for this community. So I want to continue to encourage you guys to show up and inspire others through your journey. So without further ado, just to kind of preface this call, for those that don't know who I am, my name's Abigail Poston. I'm out here in Arizona, 26 years old, originally from Maryland, and I got partnered and started with this academy, I Am Master Academy, a little over 3.5 years ago. And my journey, I'll share my story at a different time, but just know that this platform has brought so much empowerment to me, not just on a financial level, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and so many other avenues and aspects. And I know that this can do the exact same for you. Whatever you desire, whatever you crave, whatever you want to get out of your life, take back control for you and really live life on your own terms. You can do that. You can do that here. Just plug in and make sure that you're around the community. That's one of the biggest pillars. Some of the most successful people that I've been mentored by and listened to, they always say community and who you surround yourself with, who you associate yourself with, is so vital to not only your personal success, but your ability to continue to grow. I was listening to a podcast this morning by the guy by the name of Ed Milet, and he said, your mental toughness is very important, but what's almost even more important is your environment. What do you have in your environment? And I was like, wow, that's really powerful. So this is an environment that you guys can tune into on a week-to-week basis to continue to grow and develop yourself and your beliefs. So I just want to cover a couple things in the beginning, and then we're going to bring on our featured trader today, which I'm very, very excited about and super grateful he was available to be on here. So make sure you guys do have a pen and paper as we rock through these. So first things first, guys, I'm going to just share my screen for those of you that are newer or brand new. Welcome. This is what you guys want to take a look at in the very beginning. Okay, you want to go right here. It's the im.center. You're going to get your own back office. You probably have already seen this. Okay, and this is where you're going to be able to access everything that the platform has to offer. So if you're brand new, okay, you're within your first 30 days, you want to make sure, or even 60, 90 days, you want to make sure that you go to the academy, and you want to make sure that you have gone or are going through this part right here, Forex English, okay? Unless you subscribe to a different academy, go through those beginner parts, but most of us are doing the Foreign Exchange Academy. Make sure you guys go through the 100, 200 series first. Should honestly only take you about an hour and a half, maximum 2 hours. Go through it again if you need to. Take notes, really build a foundation and awareness for what this really is. And once you guys feel comfortable, move on to go live. Just really briefly, you guys already probably know what this is. I'm just kind of repetition to really make sure that you guys understand how vital this is to go through and make sure that you're plugging into. But go live is the mentorship. It's the guided analysis. It's the live chart sessions with these educators. And you guys have the ability to tap in and explore. And very, very simply, you guys just come right here. Are you a new member? Choose the basics educator you want to tap into. Okay. A lot of you are probably already doing this right now, 1, maybe 2 people, and really develop an understanding for what they're talking about and reapply that information you've got from the academy, because this is where you're going to learn how to trade. This is where you're going to learn when to get in and out of the market and become independent, self-sufficient, in the markets as a whole. So any questions you guys have, you can always reach out to me, but get with the person that actually shared this with you and brought you on to make sure that you guys are really on the right track. Okay. So any other questions, we can talk about it at the end or after this call, but this is really the bread and butter. So, yeah, let's run it. So biggest thing, guys, what I want to just share really quickly on this call, before we dive in, are a couple myths and misconceptions that we hear a lot of people talking about. And I'm sharing this with you, whether you're already on the team or you're not. We welcome you, but I want to get some things straight because doubts creep in, right? We're on our journey. We're going through our process. Things happen, things come up. And the biggest thing that I've heard, but didn't really understand its importance and its meaning until I was experiencing that specific cliche quote that we always hear, right? We hear quotes all the time, but it's not until we're experiencing it that it really starts to become super relevant. And we're going to go through things in life. Certain circumstances, certain situations will happen and conditions. And a lot of times, if we're not personally developed enough, if we don't have the right foundation, we don't understand our values and have the proper habits, we will get derailed. We will allow our circumstances to determine our actions. Okay, we will make excuses instead of finding the reason why we need to keep pressing forward. And so I want to share this with you guys. Whether you are going through a season right now where you don't think you have enough time or you don't think you have enough money to keep moving forward, guys, I'm just going to say this right now. That reason or that excuse is the reason why you need to do this. If you keep coming across the same problems, not having enough time, not having enough money, whatever the situation may be, that's the exact reason why you need to do something like this. Okay, that's the exact reason why you need to plug back in. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, this morning. It's Sunday. My alarm goes off at 5:45 a.m. Okay, I was like in my head, it's Sunday. I can sleep in. I'm cool. I'm chilling. No, I have a routine. And one day I slip up because I don't feel like getting up or my circumstances, whatever. That one day you allow yourself to do one day. The next time that it happens, it becomes more and more okay for you to continue to do that. So I'm sharing this with you because I want to give some kind of personal development training as well, just really quickly while we debunk some of these things. But if you guys ever have any of those feelings, don't be afraid. Reach out to somebody like myself. Reach out to a lot of the leaders or the person that brought you on. They care about you. They believe in you. You would not be here if they didn't believe that you could actually find success in this. Okay. You guys can do this. This is $6.6 trillion per day market. Everybody can create their own piece of financial freedom, whatever that looks like for you. You just got to stay committed and be patient and make sure you guys continue to plug in. I wouldn't be here almost 4 years later without this community and this support. So without further ado, I'm going to take a step back from greatness. And I want to introduce let me make sure he's on. Yes, he's on. Okay, cool. I want to introduce our featured trader for today's call. As you guys know, we're doing these calls every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central European time. And the individual that we have on today, this guy, I remember when I came in and we started having conversations together, and we started to really develop a relationship, and now, more so a friendship. He's somebody I see all the time on Facebook and Instagram, and just in general on social media, really just staying consistent in his process. He's been a part of the platform, correct me if I'm wrong, for about almost 4 years, which is insane. Somebody to stay that consistent in one thing for almost 4 years. That's pretty remarkable. I know his success in on a financial level is absolutely amazing. We don't want to go too much into obviously the numbers, but I just want you guys to understand the commitment and the dedication and the consistency that this individual has had over the last 3.5, 4 years. And it's something to not only be very proud of for him, but for you guys to be able to really relate and say, yo, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. And he's going to talk about, with some of the questions that we have, he's going to talk about his trials, his tribulations, his struggles, and also his victories, his triumphs, and why he's still here in the first place, to give you guys a sense of meaning and belief for what this can really do for you. So without further ado, guys, Alex Torres, man, I appreciate you so much for being on here. If you want to unmute yourself, bring yourself on the camera so we all can see you. If you want to just start us off by sharing a little bit, and he's driving. He's a busy guy. Bro, can you just kind of start us off with, really who you are and your background before coming into the academy?
All right. So first of all, I want to thank Abby for that awesome introduction. I know earlier she talked about being part of a community, and there's nobody you want to surround yourself more than people like Abby. She just brings intense energy. I love it. And it's electric. I read somewhere that there are battery chargers and battery drainers. People who just totally drain you. Abby is definitely not one of those people. She's definitely a charger. So I want to thank you for that awesome welcome. And I'm just so honored to be your friend and to be part of this platform with you. So with that being said, just a little bit about myself. I honestly don't like talking about myself, to be totally honest. But I grew up here in Washington State. That's where I'm living right now. I live in Moses Lake, Washington. And the reason I decided to do this while I was driving is I thought it was really important for you guys to see that it's always possible to make time for the things that are important to you. I just went to go pick up my daughter. She's actually watching a movie. She's watching Spider-Man. But I went to go pick her up. She lives an hour and a half away from me. So I go every Sunday to pick her up. She watches movies on the way back, and I listen to books. So if you feel like there's no time in your life, it's just because you haven't decided to make time. And so I really want to make this time for you guys to share whatever little value that I can provide, and just give back to the world a little bit.
Amazing, dude. Amazing. Well, we appreciate you for making the time and making this a priority. I know that we always say, when somebody says, I just don't have time, blah, 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 we know that it's really just them saying it's not a priority. You should just say that right away. So thanks for making this call a priority. Thank you for, making the last almost 4 years a priority and dedicating yourself to this, because you're inspiring so many people, and a lot of, you may not even know it. So appreciate that, man. So talk to us a little bit more about why you decided to join the academy in the first place. You're up in, I think somebody said PNW, Pacific Northwest. You've got your daughter. You're doing all these things. But what was that, that light bulb for you when you first saw this? Why did you make that decision to do this in the first place?
So to really touch on that, we have to go back a little bit further to when my daughter was about a year old. And I remember this memory is like etched in there. It's like chiseled in stone. We were shopping we didn't have a lot of money, and it was Halloween, and we still hadn't bought my daughter a costume. And so we're like scrambling, trying to get her a costume for Halloween. And everything was totally wiped out because we didn't have enough money up until that day. And like we were so desperate, we even considered getting her like a dog costume and like squeezing her into that. And my heart was just like totally broken. And I was like, this cannot be it. This cannot be my life. So ever since then, I really delved into self-development, really trying to better myself. And then when the person who brought me into the company, which fortunately is not in the company anymore, but we still got tons of love and respect for him. We all go our own ways. But he brought me in, he showed me it, and I immediately saw the value in it. It's a skill set. Nobody can take that away from you. And I know we say that all the time, and it's getting to be kind of cliche, but that's exactly what it is. It's a skill set. And we're just trying to spread the love and share that skill set with other people. I mean, there's like 1,000 ways to skin a cat in the Forex market, and that's kind of a gory example, but there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and we're providing one of them. We're providing many of them, actually. I remember when we first started, it was just a harmonic scanner and about 10 videos. So the value you guys are getting right now is insane, because the price is I think jumped up like $50 since then, if I'm correct, Abby. So you guys are getting immense value. I saw the value when it was just 10 videos. So that's why I've decided to stick with it. Academy has been good to me from day one. So I think I'm the lifer. So.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever's for you, what makes sense for you and your journey and everything. But yeah, you're totally right. When we first got started, the academy. I know people even before me. The academy was just the harmonic scanner, and the CEO Christopher Terry doing like 4 or 5 nights a week. Trading live. There's no recordings or anything like that. We all know the harmonic scanner is Bay though, so I'm super grateful that we still have that. But Alex, I wanted you to maybe talk a little bit about the actual platform now. We've seen so much evolution from day one to where we are now. We know that this platform and this honestly this movement and this academy is so much more than trading. And you guys, if you've been on these calls, you've started to see some of these questions are a little bit more repetitive, which is totally fine because the purpose of it is we get different perspectives from individuals, and some people it's going to click for you and some people it may not. But when it clicks, everything's going to change and you're going to have a breakthrough. So Alex, can you talk about how, we know this platform is so much more than trading, and I really want to hear from you. What else do you get from this?
I guess to answer that question, since it's grown so much, and we offer like a wide variety of different platforms, I think it gives us options, and that's something people don't actually get a lot of in life. People wake up, go to work, they do the same job day in day out, zero options. The only options I get is where I'm going to eat for lunch, what I'm going to make for dinner, and what I'm going to watch on TV. Those are their options. So what we're doing now, that's different from before, is giving people a lot of different options. I'm kind of lost with all the stuff we have going on now. So I just stick with the basics, harmonic scanner. That's my favorite, will always be my favorite. And then, I watch Christopher Derrick. Christopher Derrick's my favorite trader by far. Just everything is simplified because that's what I like. That's the option I like, is simplification. So that I try and streamline my trading. I don't try and branch off. We all like have that shiny object syndrome where we're always looking for the new thing. But with how wide the wide array of products that we have now, everybody has their own. That's the only thing I post options, and I want to try them all.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. I think since there is so much, it can be a little overwhelming for the news person. And that's, again, why it's so important that we give people, a welcome guide. We give people a game plan and a blueprint that's customized to that person. And honestly, it's really accessible and flexible to your individual schedule too, which is great. Like, I know you're in and out for the most part of your day to day, and you make it work no matter what. But like you said, one thing that you might come across is that shiny object syndrome, where you start to see other people winning in a certain tool or with a certain educator, and you go from one thing to another. The biggest thing that Alex just said was so powerful, and it actually took me a while to. I'm gonna mute you for a sec, Alex. The biggest thing that actually like really helped me, because I was going all over the place in the beginning. Something that really helped me was just to focus on, what was working at the time, what was super simple for me to stay consistent with. And everybody is going to be different. Some people are going to really like the product and the tool, the DeLorean. A lot of people are going to like the harmonic scanner. Some people are just going to gravitate to digital currencies. Whatever it may be, find your thing and stay committed to it, because anybody can find success in whatever they focus on for a long enough period of time. So Alex, appreciate you for sharing that. You kind of touched on it already, Chris Derrick and harmonic scanner. So I won't really go into that question because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The harmonic scanner, if you guys haven't tapped into it yet, I mean, if you're within your first 30 days, you can check it out. But the harmonic scanner is so powerful. And Christopher Derrick is just a legend. But Alex, I wanted to ask you this because I see you all the time on social media posting. You're doing Facebook lives, you're sharing what you're learning, you're pouring into other people. You're very, very big on personal development. So I'd love to hear from you, how important it is to you, but what does it actually mean for you and what has it done in your life?
Sorry, I had to make sure I was on mute. So, like I said, my self-development journey started way back when my daughter was like 1, and she's 12 now. So, I mean, I didn't jump into it as much back then. I was just kind of dabbling, getting my toes wet. But now it's kind of encompassed my life. So like I said, when I pick up my daughter, I don't listen to the radio. I throw on an audiobook. And like the more I do self-development, the more I can see lessons in almost anything. So I have like 270 some audiobooks on my phone. And a lot of them are fiction books. Like I'll see a daily deal and I'm like, that sounds interesting, I'll download it. And then I'll just get buried at the end because I'm always so into these self-development books. But lately I've decided to go from like oldest to newest. So I'm getting through some of these fiction books and I'm still trying to find lessons in it. I was like, okay, what can I learn from this book? I know people talk about Harry Potter all the time. Like you look at Harry Potter, you look at how courageous he is, or you look at Superman and you're like, man, that guy has awesome morals. Or you look at all these, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one of my favorite cartoons. Those guys are all about teamwork. So you can find lessons in almost anything that you put your mind to. A lot of people read these self-development books and they read them just to read them, but really you have to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind to really get the lessons out of them, because you can't just read things to read things. They're just words. But when you really take those words and you implement them in your daily life, that's when it becomes super powerful, and that's when you can start seeing all these lessons that I talk about. Otherwise, you're just repeating words,
Wow, that's powerful. I wrote that down. Did you have something else to say? I know we're cutting out a little bit.
No.
Oh, okay.
That was all I had to say about that.
Cool. No, yeah, you made a great point. Like when you're actually doing personal development, I was that would just kind of go through the motions of, check mark, I read my book for the day, or I read my whatever, check, I listened to an audio, whatever. And I didn't really have any intention or meaning behind why I was doing that in the first place. There was no application, it was just consumption. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they're just consuming and they're not actually going out and applying. And we can definitely see how it's impacted you. So very, very cool stuff, man. Appreciate you for sharing that. I'd love to hear, and I know everybody else would as well, what would you say throughout your journey? What would you say are your top 3 or top few things or traits that have really helped you create your own success?
That's kind of a loaded question, because it's always like success isn't a destination, it's a journey. So when you think about success, one of my favorite quotes is, success isn't owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. So that's why I really try to develop consistency with everything that I do. That's why whenever I say I'm going to do a Facebook Live every week, I really make a point, even if I have nothing to say, to get on there and do it. So consistency is huge for me, because I wasn't very consistent before. It's just working my way into it. I first started by, I'm going to listen to 30 minutes of my audiobook and then I'll turn on the radio. Now I hardly ever turn on the radio. And then it was like I was writing in a journal for a long time. I still write in my journal every day. And the past 3 years, I think I've missed one day. And it was when I got home from my honeymoon and I was just totally wrecked. I just needed some sleep. But, just doing these little things, I think I told you guys that I had read Atomic Habits not too long ago. It's just the little things, making small, tiny changes in your daily life, building that consistency, and then you can compound that into the bigger things in your life. And that's when you really start to develop like a successful mindset, when you really are disciplined with what you're doing. It just starts with like the smallest thing. So, writing my journal, that's no big deal. Nobody's going to read it, but I do it every day just because I need to develop that consistency. So that's one thing. And then one thing I also wanted to talk about was, working through fear, because fear is like constantly present. Every time I jump on a Facebook Live, even doing this, I'm sweating right now because I'm so nervous. I'm really introverted. So just working through that fear, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's it's working through despite having that fear. So just being courageous, being consistent, those are all keys to success for me.
Being courageous and being consistent. Bro, those are powerful. And I think some of those things that you just said are very underrated. Like some of these conversations that we have on these calls, a lot of people don't really talk about, or if they do, they're just scratching the surface of it. And obviously we don't have time to go into every little detail, but I appreciate you for bringing that part up, because consistency, Jason Brown talks about it all the time. You want to be successful in something, be consistent with it. It's not overnight. It takes patience, and it takes courage to even just start, to just keep doing it, keep showing up. And I'm proud of all of you guys for being here on a Sunday. Out of your entire day, you're here. It takes courage, it takes consistency to get to where you want to go. So Alex, that's awesome, man. Okay, I went over that question, but I think we have time. I want to respect everybody's time. I think we have time for maybe 2, maybe 3 more questions. I know you'll probably hit the nail on the head with these. So can you maybe talk about what has been the biggest mental and emotional challenge that you've had to overcome on your journey, or maybe even something that you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, just a second. I just got home, so let me kiss my wife, let her know I'm home, then I'll get right to it.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys are getting value from everything on here. Alex, like I said, he's been doing this for quite a bit, and he has a lot of stuff, a lot of gems to share with you. So Alex, go for it, man, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I kind of touched on one of them already, is fear. Every day I experience a little bit of fear in my life, which for a guy, that's really hard to admit to. Actually being scared of something. So being scared of something as insignificant as doing a Facebook Live or doing a call like this. It's really hard to not only work through it, but to actually admit that you have that kind of fear. So just being vulnerable in those things, and sharing those lessons. I did that whole year where I was doing a lesson every day, just putting myself out there and putting my vulnerabilities out there and let everybody see them. That was hard for me. So it's still hard for me right now. So just being vulnerable and working through that fear, that's actually a really big deal for me. And number 2, I think, was developing that consistency, because I had started my journal 1 year, and I got, like, they say it takes 21 days to build a habit, and I can tell you for a fact that's a lie. Because I wrote in my journal for like 72 days, and then I missed a couple of days, and I was like, well, screw it, I'm done. And it's like you talked about when you set your alarm for 5:30 and you just put the snooze button on. If you're not actively being consistent, if you're not actively aware of your consistency, then you're going to fall off the wagon. And so working through, we're all busy, so making sure you're finding the time to do all these things is really important, not only for your mindset, but to stay consistent and to stay successful. Rinse, do every day. Don't ever forget it.
What was that last thing you said?
Said rinse, do every day. Don't ever forget it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awesome, bro. These tips are good. Consistency, guys. Consistency. That was a hard one for me to really just understand. I always was like, yeah, be consistent, but I didn't really understand why it was so important until I started to see it show up in my life. I started to see gaps and different areas where I was lacking, and I was like, why is this area not doing as well as this area? Oh, because you're not being consistent. Good stuff, man. And can you maybe, this is on a tangent, but can you kind of share all these things that you're talking about, really, really powerful points, but what has it done for you? What has it done for you in your life? And where's your vision with everything from what this academy is allowing you to be able to do?
Ultimately, I think, to answer that last question first, ultimately, we're all looking for that time freedom. And you look at Matt Rosa and Jason Brown's Instagram, and they're kind of sharing their time freedom by posting all these things. And I don't want you to do that comparison syndrome where you're comparing your life to where they are. but that's like the goal. They're living like my dream lifestyle. So if I could put something on a dream board, it's Jason and Matt's lifestyle right now. You know what I mean? And I know Jason just got engaged, and Matt's been married, and you can tell they have like a loving relationship, and so that's an important thing for me too. I make time for the stuff that I need to do, um, but with that same mindset, with that same consistency mindset, I have to apply that to my relationship. I wake up before my wife and I leave before she even wakes up, but I make sure to say, bye, I love you every morning. I give her a kiss and say bye, I love you every morning. So being consistent with that kind of stuff has really impacted my marriage, I think, in a positive way. And I try and take these things and implement them into the more important things in my life. Like, regardless if I am crashes tomorrow or something, I'm still going to be married to my wife. So that has to be my priority. Um, or picking up my daughter every Sunday. That's a priority. That's something I'll never stop doing. So just understanding that when you're developing consistency, it's not just with this. You have to develop it and implement it in every phase of your life if you really want to be successful. Tai Lopez talks about the 4 pillars of success: health, wealth, love, and happiness. To get all 4 of those, you have to develop consistency in all 4 of those. It's not just going to happen for you. You know what I mean? We all follow the power of positive thinking, um, or the law of attraction, but it's actions that actually make these things happen. It's not just thinking about it, it's thinking and acting on these things.
Sure, absolutely. And I want to take a side note really quick for those of you that are on this call. You realize that, this is we're featuring our, a member within I Am Academy, and you guys realize, or hopefully you're starting to realize that this whole thing is so much more than just trading. Like, they talk about how like trading itself is like 95% psychology, right? The emotional part, the mental part. And it's, 10-5%, whatever you want to say, skill set, technical aspect, the physical part. And what Alex Torres is talking about right now, it's not trading. If you want to learn how to trade, obviously go on Go Live. These calls are really to build your belief in whatever area that you're in your life right now, and understand you can go out and get it. Apply these things that Alex is talking about. He reads all the time. He's always pouring into it. You guys need to add him on Facebook and Instagram after this call, because he's always pouring into people with what he's learning, and he's having the application on his life, and it's showing. And that's what these principles can really do for you in your life. Whatever stage or growth area you're at, you can go out and apply these for yourself. So I just wanted to check in with everyone, because if you're thinking you're on this call like, hey, what's the trade talk about? This is so much more than just trading and making money, guys. You want to make real money and real wealth and establish not only one source of income from this, from the skill set, but multiple. It starts here. And that's what these calls really develop you into becoming for yourself. So I just wanted to share that, Alex, and just touch on what you're saying. But the last thing, I think, if you can tap into this, maybe a double part of this question, can you touch on how did you establish a routine? Because your schedule, you've kind of been sharing a little bit about it on this call, how you make everything that you do a priority when it comes to yourself and your self-development. But how did you establish that routine, that schedule that includes trading in your day-to-day lifestyle?
I would be lying if I said I did it all by myself, because I didn't. My wife's been a big support for me, like on days when I don't feel like writing my journal, or jumping on prospecting, or jumping on the charts or whatever. She's like, "Don't you want to be chairman?" And I'm like, "Ah, yes, I do, God." So sometimes she'll be watching TV and I'll be on my laptop doing whatever. But having a good support system, and really sharing your goal and your vision with your partner, or with whoever you're with. If you're still living with your mom, be like, "Mom, I need you to keep me accountable for this." Because if I don't do it myself, I need you to be my backup, to make sure I'm doing this, and make sure they understand how important it is for you. My wife understands how important it is. She's been putting up with me for 4 years with all this. So really having a good support system, I think, is really important. I think I'm kind of a different than a lot of the other guys I know. I follow David Emunite, and he talks about his planner all day, every day. And I'm really trying to develop that kind of mindset too. But I'm having a hard time, penciling in my time, because I've lived so long. There was a point in time when I was working 50, 60 hours a week plus 10 hours of commuting each week. So I was really strapped for time. So I was just finding every free minute I could to either write in my journal or send out a few messages or jump in a few trades. That's why I think swipe coin and swipe trades was so awesome back then, because you're really limited on time. You don't have to analyze the charts or anything. You can just, take the trades as they come in. And that's what I was doing for a really long time, because I didn't have the time to delve into the charts and really learn for myself. But now, because of this platform, I was able to get a job closer to home, take a little bit of a pay cut because I can make up for it elsewhere. And now I have a lot more time on my hands. I can schedule my journal writing. I try and write my journal every day before bed so I can write the things that I'm grateful for every night before I go to bed. And that's what's on my mind when I'm going to sleep. And then in the morning when I wake up, I take a cold shower every morning. Tony Robbins talks about the benefits of taking a cold shower and just like priming your day. But every day when I'm about to jump in the shower, I'm like, God, this is gonna suck. But then I tell myself, I'm a beast, I'm a leader, I'm a chairman. Then I jump in. So it's just, once you do these things for an extended period of time, it gets a lot easier, but it's still hard. It's still hard for me to jump into that cold water every morning. I never look forward to it. But I say those things to myself because I know it's going to happen. And I know, even though a cold shower, how does that impact my chairman run? It impacts it in the way that it impacts my mindset. I know that I can do it. That's why I tell myself I'm gonna be some leader and chairman every time I jump in, because I have to push through that fear of that cold water. I have to push through the fear of the judgment of others. I have to push through that fear of being consistent. So hopefully that answers your question. I think I kind of went off a little bit, but
No, yeah, dude, it was spot on. And like what you're sharing is, I think a big nugget that I just took away is, the cold shower is still hard, whether it's day 1 or day 30 or day 60, it's still hard. It's not easy. Like, you hear all these successful people talk about, like people look at them like they don't ever have like bad moments or doubt or fear. It happens to everybody, and I think it makes us human. And what you just shared right there is, I take a cold shower. It's still scary. It's still hard, but, I do these things to prime myself and really, prepare myself for that moment. And, tough times don't last, how people do. And you're a testament to that, bro. You've been talking a lot about chairman. So I'm going to assume I already knew this, but you obviously are building this business. And for those that are, rising leaders in this space, and maybe those that are curious, or maybe those that have a weird stigma about building this business, can you touch on really quick, this will be the last thing, guys, I really do appreciate all of y'all, but I assume everyone's getting value from this because you're still on, but can you touch on your chairman run? Like, what does it mean to really be able to share this with other people, and the impact that you're able to make through this platform?
Well, it's kind of the same thing when I post about all these lessons I'm getting. It's just my way of giving back to the world. I grew up not having a lot of money, and the money that we did have, my mom wasn't really very good with it. So anytime we had a couple extra dollars, she was taking us to the movies. My wife's mad at me. She would take us to the movies, and I thought that was just normal. Like, you get money, you spend money. So it being in this program, it really taught me the value of money. I always try, when I'm trading, I try and separate the money aspect from it, because then I'll just, it's almost like gambling at that point in time when you're not separating it. So I try and treat it like a game, like, okay, pips equals points. And I've been saying that for years, pips equals points. And I'm trying to get a high score every day. But the reason I try and share this is because I don't want other people to experience the lifestyle I did as a kid, where we didn't have money. Some days it was just rice and beans for dinner, maybe with a little onions tossed in there for flavor. But I think that's just like a Mexican thing too, just rice and beans and tortillas. But I didn't have money, and that day when I couldn't buy my daughter a Halloween costume, and it broke my heart. I don't want anybody to ever have to experience that kind of heartache in their life. And I think, I don't remember when I think last week when you were talking to Tiffany, you talked about how some people don't ever see $1,000 in their bank account, and almost nobody sees $10,000 in their bank account. I want to bring that $10,000 into their bank account. I want to be the one to help them get there, um, and just the same way that I want to provide value every day or every week by sharing these lessons that I'm learning in my books. I want to provide value and share every day and every week ways for them to earn an income, ways for them to bring in a couple extra $100 a month, because that's huge. A couple extra $100, that might not sound like a lot, but how many groceries can you buy for $200? How many bills can you pay with $200? Probably not very much anymore. That's more than my cell phone bill though. It's a cell phone bill and a little extra. So just trying to help them ease that burden, I think is really important for me. And I know we're all looking for those rock stars um, whenever we are prospecting, but for me, the most important thing is finding those people who actually need this, who actually are open-minded enough to see how powerful this can be. I remember my first trade being part of the company. I was kind of I don't want to say I was a gambler, but I was not disciplined at all. So I just threw in a trade. And I didn't understand anything about lot sizes or anything. And my first trade, actually, I got $700, and I was like, dang, if I could make $700 that quick, I'm gonna keep it rolling. So I threw in another trade, same pair, not paying attention to what the market was doing, lost it all. But that one $700 trade, I saw the power in it, because if I can develop the discipline to increase the odds that I'm going to get that $700 trade, and I can share that with other people, game over, man, game over.
Hell yeah, absolutely, man. If you want to close it out, anything that maybe we missed or a thought that you wanted to share, some closing thoughts, go for it.
I think I kind of shared everything I wanted to share. The thing I really wanted to talk about was, with self-development, don't just read just to read. I know we all push self-development, and that's what I love about the industry is we're really big on self-development, but I really want you guys to focus on these lessons. Even listening to this call, 90% of what I said, you guys might throw out the window, but if I can just provide you with 10% nugget, then I feel like I was a success. I went a whole year one time last year, posting every single day a lesson that I learned from the books that I was reading. And one of my favorite books was Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Marx. So if I could urge you guys to read that and really delve into it and really put your mind, heart, and soul into it, I think you guys will get a ton out of it, because that book can say a lot more to you and speak to you a lot louder than probably I could. So if I could urge you guys to read that one book, then I think you guys will be a lot better off for it. And so those are my parting words. I appreciate you guys listening. I know I can be kind of long-winded sometimes, but that's what I do when I get nervous. My mouth is really dry right now. So after this, I'm gonna go drink a bottle of water.
Bro, we appreciate you for being so transparent. Can you actually type in the chat the book that you were just saying so everyone can get it?
Just a second.
Sure. But no, we appreciate you for just being human and sharing all the little things that, we all experience, but not a lot of people want to talk about or maybe share. And I think that's so important about these calls is, you can't get to where you want to go unless you're honest with yourself and you accept where you're at right now. Thank you, bro. Unless you accept where you're at right now so that you can actually get to where you want to go in your life. You got to be real. You got to be honest. So we appreciate you for not just being honest with yourself, but sharing a little bit of that insight with us as well. Last thing I'll say, guys, and I'll let everybody take off, do what you got to do on this Sunday. This in about 12 minutes, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, every Sunday after this call, there's a chairman mentorship. So if you're somebody that wants to build the business, build your leadership skills, develop your mindset, this call happens every Sunday with a new leader, a new chairman inside of the platform. So you have the ability to learn from them, their insight, their perspective, their skill set, all these things. So tune into that. I'll drop the link in the chat. But again, we do these calls every Sunday at this time, Zoom to Success, Q&As with a featured I Am Trader member from our squad. So if you have not been on these calls and you have a desire to come on here and just pour into people, please send me a message. We have people that are filling up throughout the Sunday, so we can get you in on one of them. That would be super, super awesome. So we appreciate y'all. Have a great and happy Sunday. We'll see you guys very soon.